Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Midday on this wet Wednesday, a hump day for all of us, thank goodness, especially after Super Tuesday last night. You may be exhausted. By the way, did I introduce myself? I'm Melanie Lawson. I'm glad to be here with you today. But I do want to talk about Super Tuesday. We know what a blowout it was, people voting until 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, kind of the aftermath today kicking in. Former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg is bowing out of the race for the Democratic presidential nomination. He's now throwing his support behind this candidate.
And we're told, well, when you got to Super Tuesday, it'd be over. So I'm here to report we are very much alive.
Well, Biden captured 9 of the 15 contests on Super Tuesday, and that includes Texas, although we didn't learn that until very, very late. Bernie Sanders made big gains in California, and that was propelled largely by the Hispanic vote. He also won Utah, Colorado, and his home state of Vermont.
But tonight, I tell you with absolute confidence, we are going to win the Democratic nomination.
Well, and then there was the other side of the coin. Senator Elizabeth Warren failed to win a single state, and that includes her own home state of Massachusetts, as well as the state she grew up in, Oklahoma. Both of those she lost. Bloomberg, after spending more than $500 million, came away with only one area, American Samoa. As we mentioned, he has just dropped out of the race and thrown his support behind Biden. Well, today is the anniversary of a protest that really changed the entire city of Houston. It was on this day back in 1960 when a group of black students staged a sit-in at what was then the Wine Garden Supermarket on Alameda. They were challenging segregated lunch counters. Many of these students were from Texas Southern University, a few from the University of Houston. Those students were eventually ushered out, and in some cases they were even arrested. Now, the sit-in here locally was inspired partly by civil rights legend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and a similar sit-in at the Woolsworth lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Whiskey River, take my mind. Don't let her memory torture me. Whiskey River, don't run dry.
You know him, you love him. That is the legend himself, Willie Nelson, in the house last night. Or I should say tonight he will be performing at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. I was so excited I forgot which night it was. A reminder that indoor activities at the Livestock Show will remain open if it rains, but Willie tonight. And we want to show you last night's mutton busting winner. This is Brentley of Tarkington Prairie, Texas.
Brentley. Boy, you got a lot of people cheering for you. Tell us how you were able to stay on that sheep for so long.
I dig my feet in and I hold on tight.
That is the way to do it. Who taught you how to do that?
My dad.
Your dad? Has he done this before?
Yes.
He has. Did you practice this anywhere?
At rodeos.
So you've done this before. You've ridden sheep before.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Professional bronc rider.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, we've definitely got a cowboy here.
You know, Jerry, isn't it funny how they always use their dad to practice when it comes to mutton busting?
I know how they feel.
Yes, that's right. You got 2 kids, so you know exactly how it is. Well, congratulations to him. Well, you know what? We're about to introduce you to a couple of actors in a really, really interesting show that is coming up. It's now playing at the Hobby Center. It's called Come From Away. And really, this is the true story of a town in Newfoundland and how it welcomed thousands of airline passengers. This is on the day after 9/11. Joining us right now, Kevin Carolyn. Am I saying it right?
That's correct.
Good, good. And the former mayor of Gander. How exciting is that? Claude Elliott. So glad to have both of you all here.
Pleasure to be here.
And we need to start off by telling people this was a true story. This is not something that was dreamed up.
No.
This actually happened on the day after 9/11. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, the American airspace needed to be cleared of all the airplanes on 9/11. So they scrambled to try and put them where they could. And this there's an airport in Gander that was large enough to take 38 planes with 9,000 people from 95 countries, and then the town itself came together of 9,000 people, of 7,000 passengers. That's what it was. And then they took care of them for 5 days. They fed them, they housed them, clothed them, comforted them, and then had to send them on their way. And I get to play this man along with other characters, and he was there for the whole thing.
Which is incredible. And we remember so many of these incredibly moving vignettes. But what you all did in Gander and in Newfoundland in general was just incredible. What do you remember most about that?
Well, the most we remember is, well, it was a terrible day in U.S. history, and we were so far away. And first, when we heard of it, they said, you know, wow, what? We didn't think that we could do anything to help. And then all of a sudden, when the U.S. closed the airspace and Canada started taking aircraft, and they were told to land at the nearest airport. Gander is the crossroads of the world by here. Right. So if you're leaving Europe in the morning, when you get over halfway across, the nearest airport is Gander. And, you know, initially we were told they may be only there for, you know, a few hours that we figured out. But as those few hours came, a few more hours, we started to realize that this was going to be longer than we anticipated. So we just prepared for the worst case scenario, that they were all coming off the planes, and we mobilized the community and the people got involved. And when the first people came in, we were ready to accept them.
But how did you do it? You're such a small town, as he points out. What did your people say?
Bring them on. We want to help those people. There's nothing we can do for the people in New York. Yeah. There's nothing we can do for the people in Washington and Pennsylvania. But there is a lot we can do for the people that we have here. And the greatest asset that any community has is just people. Yeah. And when you mobilize your people, there's no task that's too big that you can't do. And everybody, not only in Gander, but other communities besides, and the whole province, just come out, and you know, they came out and they gave us their time and their homes and their vehicles, and just made people feel happy and good for 5 days under a very difficult circumstances.
All right, Kevin, he just sold your show all the way around as you hear the real story. But tell us about how you play this out, how you bring the audience back to that point in time.
Well, it's a story told by 12 actors on stage and 8 musicians and 12 chairs and a couple of tables. Yeah, and wow. You know, we will change characters by taking off a jacket or putting on a hat. And because, you know, we're playing not only the people of Gander, we're also playing all the plane people as well. Mm-hmm. So each actor is responsible for I'd say at least a good handful of portrayals that they have to do during our show. And we keep this fast-moving vehicle going for about 100 minutes. And
I'm going to assume you are mature enough to certainly remember 9/11 and that feeling right afterwards.
Absolutely.
Does it bring you back there every night? Is it very emotional for you?
It is, but the beautiful thing is that a note that our director Christopher Ashley had given us early on was that there's many moments where we don't need to hit it very hard as far as the emotion, right. Because every audience member is bringing in their own personal story of what happened that day with them, so they do all the heavy lifting. Wow. You know.
Yeah, I tell you what an emotional thought. Well, as I say, both of you gentlemen have sold it. I don't need to say much more than that, other than to thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
And to let all of our folks know, Come From Away runs through Sunday at the Hobby Center. Tickets start at $35, and you can go to thehobbycenter.org for more information. But Jerry, this sounds like a great one, doesn't it?
Sounds like a good show.
Really amazing. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
And that's it for us today on the Midday. We will see you this afternoon on air beginning at 3 o'clock. And we're always here on ABC13.com and our news app. Have a great Wednesday.